Diddy's ex wrapped up her testimony today after 4 grueling days on the stand.
She might have a lawsuit too.
Singer Dawn Richard testifies that Sean Diddy Combs hit Cassie Ventura with a skillet full of egg.
You got to go back to the drugs and the alcohol, man. The drugs and the alcohol, man. And those things that make you do strange.
What happens when a music mogul's reputation collides head-on with courtroom truth? You get Sean Diddy Combs, fidgeting, glaring, and damn near unraveling, as Dawn Richard takes the stand and drops the kind of testimony that could rip a career in half.
Today, after 4 grueling days on the stand, the defense hit her hard during cross-examination, asking her about a stint in rehab for PTSD, a rape allegation, and asking her to read explicit text messages from over the past 15 years.
Richard accused Combs of sexual harassment, gender discrimination, and a hostile work environment by being exposed to sex trafficking and sex acts. She also alleged that she was a victim of false imprisonment. In her suit, Richard stated she was seeking compensatory and punitive damages, as well as other costs for post-traumatic stress, anxiety, and emotional suffering, and financial losses she suffered as a result of Combs' alleged behavior. Combs has denied her allegations. His lawyer told E! News in September, Mr. Combs is shocked and disappointed by this lawsuit. Richard's testimony in Combs' ongoing trial comes 8 months after she accused the rapper in a lawsuit of subjecting her to years of inhumane working conditions, which included groping, assault, and false imprisonment. The lawsuit, filed in September, obtained by E! News, stated, Mr. Combs frequently held meetings with Ms. Richard wearing only his underwear, despite Ms. Richard's protests and repeated requests for him to put on clothing. In her filing, the 41-year-old also alleged that Combs ordered her to strip down to her underwear, made demeaning remarks about her body, and entered her dressing room unannounced while she was unclothed, and touched her without her permission under the guise of showing the stylist.
This wasn't a minor detail. This wasn't a vague allegation. No, boss. This was a front-row seat to madness, delivered by someone who was inside the machine. Dawn wasn't guessing. She wasn't speculating. She was remembering. And the picture she painted? Pure chaos. She says she saw Diddy throw Cassie to the ground, yell with such fury it left everyone in silence, and then act like it never happened. Now imagine watching all that unfold again, only this time, inside a packed courtroom. And the entire world is watching. And Diddy? He couldn't take it. Reporters say he shifted, whispered, clenched his jaw. Because this wasn't about gossip anymore. This was testimony. This was real. And if what Dawn says is true, then Cassie's allegations aren't just plausible. They're the tip of an iceberg that's already cracking. Grab your receipts, boss. Because this trial just turned into a demolition. It all started with a stare. Not a word, not a gesture. Just Diddy, locked in his chair, watching Dawn Richard approach. The witness stand like a woman carrying a secret that could end a dynasty. And oh, did she deliver? The room was already heavy. Cameras weren't allowed, but you could feel the tension in every breath. And then Dawn opened her mouth and shattered the image of a man who had spent decades crafting perfection in public. I saw what happened to Cassie. Just like that, the courtroom wasn't a courtroom anymore. It was a funeral for Diddy's image. Let's rewind. Sean Diddy Combs, music mogul, fashion icon, bad boy of the billion-dollar brand, is now sitting on the defense bench, staring down, a wildfire of abuse accusations. But the flame that lit the fuse? A woman who once stood next to him on stage, now standing against him in court. Dawn Richard, ex-Danity Kane, Diddy Dirty Money, and one of the closest people to ever orbit his chaotic universe, didn't come to play. She came to expose the foundation. She testified that she didn't just hear rumors. She saw things, felt things. She described moments where Cassie Ventura, Diddy's longtime partner, looked like a prisoner inside a palace. And the worst moment? According to Dawn, she saw Diddy hurl a skillet full of eggs at Cassie during a confrontation in 2009.
Witness, and she's saying that she witnessed a gangbang, which actually we know it as called a train. and she worked on the album The Train to Paris. And like I heard one of the YouTube, it could be Tistel, say that we didn't know what the train to Paris meant, but now we know that the train to Paris was a train in Scotland. It wasn't a train in Paris, it was a train in Scotland. Every time I have a witness doing something is when 2 guys and 2 girls will go in the room. And that was just regular. And however they did it, whatever they did, that was their business. But he gotten bold enough, whereas that he would do that in front of Dawn and other people at a poolside in Scotland. You sure it was Scotland, man?
Kennedy Kane alum Don Richard, who began working with Sean Diddy Combs while competing on his show Making the Band in 2004, took the stand after Cassie wrapped her testimony May 16th. Richard joined Combs' group Diddy Dirty Money after Danity Kane disbanded. While on the stand, she told jurors that she saw Combs hit Ventura with a skillet full of eggs at his Los Angeles home in 2009. Richard testified per NBC News. He came downstairs asking where his phone was, and he threw her to the ground. He attempted to kick her. She fell to the ground and went into the fetal position, literally trying to hide her head. In addition to striking Ventura with the skillet, Richard said Combs put his arm around the singer's neck and took her upstairs before she heard glass breaking. Richard added, "I was scared for her. I was scared to do anything."
Let that sink in. Not a slap, not a scream, a skillet full of eggs, a breakfast weapon of rage. He was allegedly furious over a misplaced phone. And when Cassie didn't respond fast enough, he didn't just yell, he exploded. Dawn says Cassie dropped into a fetal position on the floor, hands covering her head, shaking from the impact. And Diddy walked over, tried to kick her while she was down, then dragged her by the arm upstairs like this was just another Wednesday. And guess who watched it all? Dawn, frozen and scared. "I wanted to help," she said, "but I was afraid to move. Now, boss, if you're wondering why this is a big deal, let's be real. This is no regular witness." Dawn was inside the house. She wasn't a friend of a friend. She was part of Diddy's day-to-day, his performer, his mentee, his controlled asset, if you believe what she's saying. And she wasn't just speaking for Cassie. She was speaking for every woman who's ever had to smile through fear because the man in charge had more money than morality. Her words were razor sharp, not dramatic, not hysterical, calm, controlled, like she had rehearsed this in her head 1,000 times. And Diddy couldn't take it. Reporters say his jaw was clenched so tight it looked locked. He whispered to his legal team. He fidgeted. He leaned back like he was dodging invisible bullets. Because Dawn wasn't just telling stories. She was undoing a legacy, brick by toxic brick, and it didn't stop there. She said, Diddy created an atmosphere where every room was a war zone, where Cassie walked on eggshells until the day Diddy threw them at her. Dawn described his outbursts as volcanic, loud, long, dangerous. She told the jury she saw him mock Cassie's appearance, control, her access to the outside world, and make her feel small every chance he got. And Cassie? According to Dawn, she didn't fight back. She just tried to survive. That was the line that hit the hardest. She wasn't living, Dawn said, voice cracking just slightly. She was surviving. The courtroom froze. Even the judge leaned forward. Because in that moment, this wasn't just celebrity drama. It was a human rights case, a domestic war that played out behind platinum walls and diamond-studded chains. And boss? The defense? They tried to keep up. They attacked Dawn's credibility. They asked about old rehab rumors. They brought up tabloid stories. They grilled her on the timeline, but Dawn never blinked. She stared back and said, "I'm not here for a payout. I'm here because I saw it." Boom. Mic dropped. Now here's where it gets deeper. The prosecution then pulled out a folder labeled New Evidence, Verified Witness. No one knows what's inside, but the buzz? It's bad. Like career-ending bad. Sources say it includes internal texts, studio surveillance logs, flight records from key dates, and a sealed deposition from another Bad Boy Records employee. Yup. More people are coming. because Dawn just kicked open the door and now the rest are lining up to speak. And Diddy? Well, he might be facing the moment every powerful man fears, the collapse of silence. And we're just getting started. Because in the next part, Boss, we go inside the internet firestorm, the leaked recordings, and the public backlash that sent this trial from headlines to history books. Keep watching. The worst is still on the way. If Dawn Richard lit the fire inside the courtroom, the internet threw gasoline on it, because the moment her testimony hit the media, it didn't just trend, it erupted. Justice for Cassie, sure Dawn said it. Diddy exposed all of it, everywhere. Within 5 hours, every gossip page, commentary channel, and fan account had uploaded their version of the moment, and the reactions, they weren't soft. Kalani tweeted, "Believe. Survivors. Period." Megan Good reposted a video clip of Dawn's allegations with the caption, "This is what bravery looks like." Even a former Making the Band castmate, who didn't name names, wrote on Instagram, "We've all been scared to say something. Until now." Meanwhile, Reddit forums exploded with anonymous stories from alleged ex-staffers. One post read, "I was on Diddy's security team in 2010. He told us never to let Cassie make calls alone. If she got too chatty, we were to remind her who paid her bills." Another added, "Studio sessions ran 40+ hours. Girls fainted. One was hospitalized for dehydration." Now, are these stories verified? Absolutely not. But this is the court of public opinion. And in this court, perception is the verdict. And Diddy's public perception? Cracked. Shattered. Sinking. But boss, it gets worse. Because just as Twitter reached peak chaos, a clip dropped. A leaked audio recording, allegedly captured during a house party in Los Angeles in 2011. In it, a voice said to be Cassie's is heard yelling, "Give it back! You don't get to film me like that!" Another voice, possibly a male staffer, responds, "You. Think you get to scream now? You were fine 5 minutes ago." Then silence. Then what sounds like glass shattering. Then a door slam. By the time it made its way to TikTok, it had already hit 3 million views and had audio experts scrambling to analyze waveforms, like this was a CSI episode. Whether it's real or not doesn't matter anymore. The mood has shifted. And Diddy's team? They're scrambling. Their first move? A late-night press release claiming, "Mr. Combs is disturbed by these allegations. He maintains his innocence and intends to fight vigorously in court." Classic. But the very next day, a TMZ affiliate ran a story that one of Diddy's former assistants had approached federal investigators with emails and time-stamped studio schedules. What was in those emails? Allegedly, messages between Diddy's management and internal staff coordinating Cassie's travel, limiting her access to media, and even adjusting camera placements on sets, so Cassie looks cooperative and calm. It's not proof, but it's not looking innocent either. And the internet, it's relentless. A YouTube creator uploaded a 30-minute documentary-style breakdown titled "The Rise and Implosion of Diddy's House of Control." In it, they tracked every public meltdown, every shady contract, and every woman who went silent after working with Diddy. They showed clips of him berating artists on Making the Band, questioning their worth, humiliating them in front of cameras. Moments we once called tough love that now look more like emotional warfare. And boss, that's the thing. What once looked like leadership now looks like abuse with branding. Let's go back to the courtroom, because things only got messier. From here. On day 3, Diddy's legal team switched tactics. If they couldn't shake Dawn, they'd go after Cassie. They dug up everything. Her rehab stint in 2017, a rape allegation she made as a teen, her mental health diagnosis post-breakup, and, of course, a selection of emotionally dependent text messages between her and Diddy. One, allegedly from Cassie, read, "I'm lost without you. I just want you to want me the way I want you." Another read, "I'll stay. Just please don't. Shut me out again." To the jury, this was supposed to make Cassie look unstable. But boss, it backfired, because all it did was prove Dawn's point, that Cassie wasn't in love. She was in survival mode.
The things that she's gonna have to bring up into the lawsuit, that Diddy stopped the way that she was working and how she could work by the fact that he would change, like you just said. What she would do, bro, he would turn off her mic and don't let her sing songs or don't let her do certain things, a part of the band. When he do her sexual advancements. I don't know what to say about that, brother. All I can say is that, all of it sounds like using his power. He's using his power to get at people that works for him. And when you do that, when they bring you to court, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna lose if they can prove it.
One text message, Cassie writes, "I'm lost without you."
We know now that she called herself Cece for Cassie Combs. We know now that she wanted to have a child with him.
Jurors also heard an audio recording where Cassie could be heard threatening to kill a Diddy associate who had video of one of her freak-offs with Diddy.
The jurors were shocked. I saw the eyebrows raised.
Cassie was asked about receiving a FaceTime from her now husband while she was having sex with Diddy.
I think they're trying to use what they can again to discredit her.
Legal analysts outside the courtroom jumped in immediately. One said, "These texts don't disprove abuse, they confirm it. That's what emotional manipulation looks like, and that's when the public started flipping." Comments flooded social media. This is textbook gaslighting. He kept her hooked, scared, and emotionally trapped. She didn't love him. She needed to be safe. Now here's where things spiral into another layer of chaos. Dawn's testimony kept coming. She revealed that after Cassie left, other women quietly replaced her in Diddy's orbit. She claimed Diddy kept control logs, notebooks where his staff recorded what each woman wore, ate, how long they were on their phones, and even how grateful they acted that day. A prosecutor reportedly leaned forward and asked, "Why would someone need those logs?" Dawn paused. Then she said, "To remind them who owned the house. And boss, you could hear the air leave the room. Even Diddy reportedly looked stunned. He leaned into his lawyers. His eyes darted around the courtroom. He looked cornered. Because what started as one woman's story is now being backed up by documents, recordings, anonymous staffers, and other Danity Kane members who are now texting reporters saying, "We're ready to talk." And guess who's next on the witness list? Aubrey O'Day. That's right. Another former protege. Another former Danity Kane member. Another woman who has hinted for years that things behind the scenes were anything but glamorous. If she corroborates Dawn's story, Diddy's not walking out with a verdict. He's walking out with his legacy incinerated. So boss, here's where we are now. The courtroom is boiling. The internet is merciless. The witnesses are lining up, and Diddy's once bulletproof reputation now looks like a cheap glass trophy with cracks spreading fast. But we're not done yet. Because in part 3, we'll walk through the fallout, the brand collapse, the legal blowback, and the media storm that's pushing Diddy from kingmaker to cautionary tale. What's next isn't justice, it's Judgment Day. By the end of the first week, this wasn't just a trial, it was a public execution of a legacy. Let's not sugarcoat it. Diddy walked into court thinking he'd be treated like a mogul under attack. He's walking out looking like a man who's run out of places to hide. After Dawn Richards' bombshell testimony and the leak of Cassie's unfiltered voice on audio, the temperature around Diddy didn't just rise, it boiled over. By day 4, the business world started backing away. Ciroc, his longtime liquor partner, silent. No tweets, no statements, just wiped promo content off Instagram like it never existed. Revolt TV? Sources say they pulled him off internal marketing. Even Harlem Charter School, which Diddy helped launch, is re-evaluating his public affiliation due to character concerns. Translation? We out. Meanwhile, word on the street is Diddy's team tried shopping his music catalog, allegedly hoping to offload rights before any civil suits could freeze the assets. They reached out to 3 major buyers. All of them passed. Nobody wants a catalog tangled in potential RICO charges, civil lawsuits, and what could become the biggest abuse scandal in hip-hop history. Behind the scenes, Diddy's lawyers doubled their staff. PR firms were hired and fired within 72 hours. One crisis manager allegedly quit mid-call saying, "You can't spin this. You can only brace for the impact." The legal avalanche. Now, let's talk real consequences. Diddy isn't just being accused of losing his temper or treating people badly. He's being tied to a pattern of behavior that fits the definition of criminal: enterprise. Here's what prosecutors are building toward: racketeering, RICO, forced labor, false imprisonment, sexual harassment, witness intimidation, conspiracy to conceal evidence. That's not bad behavior. That's a federal case with teeth. Legal insiders say the Don-Cassie timeline overlap could establish ongoing abuse, which, if paired with employee testimony, creates a systemic culture of exploitation. One anonymous paralegal leaked this to the press: "We're looking at a house of cards built on fear. If 3 more people confirm what Don said, Diddy's legal team will have to focus on sentencing strategy, not acquittal." That's code for get ready for a plea, deal, or prepare to lose everything. Now, boss, let's talk about something even more dangerous than lawsuits: the public turning on you. Because even if Diddy walks free, the empire is bleeding out.
Unfortunately, we're all going to take a disgusting trip to his seedy, awful world. You know, it's the man has no class. He has no kindness in his dark, dark heart. And he's depraved. That's my opinion. This is a depraved, disgusting individual.
The facts are the facts, the texts are the texts, and I think that the evidence will be clear.
That Ventura had a choice and that she chose to participate in those sexual encounters.
Where she is entertaining other people in the bedroom. He enjoyed having the freak-offs.
She's being asked specifically about the drug use.
She is clearly excited about freak-offs.
Influencers, artists, and former friends are suddenly unavailable for comment. His last tweet before the trial? Crickets. His TikTok? Comments disabled. His fan base? Divided like a breakup group chat. One former collaborator said on a live stream, "He always had 2 sides. We all knew it. We just didn't know how dark it really was." And fans? They're watching every moment like it's a reality show they can't look away from. Only difference? This one doesn't have a reunion episode. It has real-world consequences. TikTokers are posting side-by-side comparisons of Diddy's old Making the Band moments with trauma response breakdowns, clips of him yelling, "If you want to make it, you don't sleep," now being reframed as "this" was exploitation disguised as hustle. One TikTok has over 8.7 million views, captioned, "He wasn't making artists, he was breaking people." And now? Just when it seems like things can't get worse, Aubrey O'Day is officially in the building. Courtroom sources confirmed she's been subpoenaed and is expected to testify next week. Aubrey hasn't been quiet about her experience under Diddy's management. She's hinted for years that the glamorous image was covering up deep dysfunction. Now, the courtroom gets to hear what really happened inside Danity Kane's rise and fall. What if she confirms Don's story? What if she says the control, humiliation, and intimidation weren't isolated to Cassie? Then we're not looking at one bad relationship anymore. We're looking at a pattern of behavior that spans decades, multiple victims, and an entire culture of silence built under the umbrella of making stars. Prosecutors are expected to use her testimony to corroborate the larger narrative. Diddy didn't just cross lines. He built the lines himself, so he could move them whenever he wanted. And the more testimonies that align, the more undeniable it becomes. Inside the courtroom, his demeanor has already shifted. Gone is the confident mogul with sunglasses and swagger. Now, it's a man who sits tense, pale, whispering to his lawyers, eyes darting every time a new witness is called. One court sketch artist described him as more lawyer than leader now. He's watching his empire disassemble piece by piece. He's not reacting to the trial. He's reacting to the realization that this time, the silence didn't hold, that the NDAs weren't enough, that the money wasn't deep enough, that the secrets he buried are now crawling to the surface with names, dates, and witnesses. And boss, when power starts slipping through your fingers, it doesn't fall quietly. It crashes, loud, violent, public. This trial isn't just about one man. It's about how celebrity power shields abuse, how the industry rewards silence, and how many people are told to be grateful while being emotionally shredded behind the scenes. Dawn. Richard shattered. The silence. Cassie showed the scars. And now Aubrey might just bring the receipts. This isn't the end. This is the start of something bigger. An industry reckoning. A cultural reset. A story that might force other names to surface. Names still hiding behind. The illusion of fame, money, and invincibility. Because when the machine breaks, it doesn't just stop running, it exposes the mechanics. And right now, boss, we're watching the gears fall apart in real time. So now the question is, how many more secrets are buried in Diddy's empire? How long can money and NDAs protect a man from the truth? And how many people had to be broken before one of them finally said, enough? Dawn Richard didn't come to make noise. She came to pull the curtain back on a system built on fear, silence, and power games. Cassie's testimony? Raw, shocking, desperate. Aubrey O'Day, on deck, ready to light another match. And Diddy. He's sweating in court, watching his carefully curated persona burn from all sides. This isn't just a trial anymore. It's a reckoning. A full-blown collapse of a brand that sold the dream while hiding the nightmare. You heard the allegations. You saw the reaction. You felt the shift. So let's ask the real question. Is Diddy finished? Or is this just the beginning of who's next? Hit the comments, boss. Do you believe Cassie? Was Dawn telling the truth? And who do you think will be the next to speak up? We want to hear from the people, not the PR teams. And if you're ready for more unfiltered, no spin, no celebrity favor coverage like this, smash that subscribe, tap like, and share this video before it mysteriously disappears. Because we're not just watching headlines, we're watching a dynasty collapse in real time. Stay tuned. This trial isn't over. The fallout has only just begun.